Good afternoon, guys. It is March 10th, 2021. On this video here, I want to talk to you about just being resourceful in what you have. Now, this is one thing that I think a lot of Americans as a society, we've become very wasteful and not as knowledgeable um, to use certain things, reuse things. Um, it just is something that we've kind of lost in our society. Now, one thing that got me to thinking about this was everything that has been going on the last year or so. We are seeing um, some things that are harder to find, some things that maybe you didn't have a lot of access to, maybe, things were, out of stock for whatever reason. Um, and, things just happen. It's not that big of a deal, really. I mean, it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Like, I'll just put it this way. If you are wise and put stuff back and make sure that um, you have things set aside um, for when times are hard, whether that's um, a global issue like we had, or an economic issue, or a personal issue. You know, there's multiple ways. It's not just, preparing for if something happens, it's preparing for when. Because something's always going to happen. Somebody's always going to have an issue with something. Somebody's always going to need something. Somebody's always going to fall on hard times somewhere. You know, that's just life. Um, but I just take a lot of inspiration from my parents and especially my grandparents. And they lived through the Great Depression and the wars and the rough times. And you know, you really had to make do with what you had. I mean, my dad lived in a household that they didn't have a whole lot. Um, you know, in the 70s and 80s. Um, so, just certain things like that that I just kind of learn and stuff. And you gotta kind of think about it this way. When things get rough and when things get tight, you've gotta do what you gotta do. And even if that means cutting back on specialty things or cutting back on, um, you know, everything like that. And, just assess what you have and assess what you would like to have on hand, because that'll help you too. If you take inventory of what you have, so you actually know the things that you have on hand and you can make do with that, um, in the event that times are hard. And guys, if money is tight, you gotta do what you gotta do to put food on the table, and it's not always gonna be, you know, like, oh, let me just go to the store and get all this stuff and we'll make this nice dinner. Or it's not gonna be like, oh, well, let's just go out to eat tonight. Or let's just grab McDonald's or Burger King. Or let's get a pizza delivered. Or whatever. Guys, sometimes you can't really do that. It's really not smart. Um, Best thing is to um, try your best to get out of debt. Get out of debt as much as you can and put back some savings of at least $1,000 to $5,000 to cover an emergency. In the meantime, while you're trying to pay off debt, and then you can, build up that savings from there, if you would like. But just having that extra cushion if something really goes wrong, it can help you a lot. Um, the other thing is learn how to repair things. Okay, learn how to sew. Learn how to um, repair, appliances that aren't, working properly or need something fixed on them. Um, we throw so much away as a society, um, and I think people are just kind of trained to think that way. Like if it's broken, you just throw it away and you buy a new one. But I want you to think about this. All the shortages that we've been seeing with food and just basic household stuff, that can easily bleed over into materials and things like that. And so, if they don't have all the materials and the parts and the supplies to, manufacture appliances or things like that, then that causes a shortage there. So there's just a whole domino effect, of things that are affected and things that are a challenge and things like that. Um, Also, just, make sure that, you know, you have the things on hand that you need, or that that you might need. Make sure that your first aid is stocked, fully stocked. Band-aids, gauze, uh, rubbing alcohol, uh, bandages, whatever else, whatever, first aid or medical supplies that you need. Make sure that you have those, put back. Um, and just just making do with what you have and making your budget stretch and your food stretch. Um, the other thing on the food, I've noticed that there's quite a bit of people that don't eat their leftovers. Um, that kind of like doesn't make sense to me because you went through all that trouble to make all that food and you won't even eat it. I don't know what it is with people. I really don't. Um, I mean, I understand if it's spoiled or something, but usually the leftovers will last about a week in the refrigerator. Um, so, you know, use up your leftovers. Certain leftovers, like if you had chicken one night and you have leftover chicken, you can cut up that cooked chicken and, put it in a casserole or something. Um, we do that all the time here. Um, just get creative and think of ways to, use things up and be be smart about what you have. Um, because, these are skills that I think everybody needs to know, and we've lost that in our society. Um, you know, buy what you can, used or secondhand, and try to, reuse, repurpose, and refurbish, Um, the other thing is, all of that. Now, let's see, where am I? The other thing I will say is, while things are good and if you have extra money to put towards things, I would go ahead and use that money wisely. Use it wisely. Use it to stock your pantry if you haven't done so already. Use it to, you know, build up a stock of backup supplies and things. Um, I typically try to go through, what I have like about once a year, I would say. Um, and, take inventory of, food items in the pantry, how many I have, what I have, all of that. Same thing with um, cleaning supplies, uh, all of the things like dish detergent, laundry detergent, um, you know, anything in the bathroom, toiletries, toothpaste, toothbrushes, deodorant, all that stuff. Soaps, all of the things that you would need, you know, on a daily basis to, you know, help you live more comfortably uh, throughout the day, and just make sure that you put stuff back. You don't need to like have a huge stockpile of stuff, but I would just put back, at least one backup of everything that you use every day, all the time. And, you know, once you pull out that backup, put on your shopping list that you need to get another one to put back in its place. That way, you're always rotating and you're always making sure that you have what you need. Um, because then again, with all the shortages we saw and everything that happened in the last year, Um, you know, you're gonna be thankful should something like that happen again. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but there's always gonna be something like that that happens at some point. You know, it may not be nationwide, it may not be worldwide, but think about like emergency situations like flooding, tornadoes, hurricanes, um, all of these natural disasters. People kind of freak out and rush out to the stores at the last minute. Most people do that. um, Guys, we don't want to be most people. We don't want to be in the most people category. We want to try to be as prepared and um, as wise and frugal as we can. Um, and we don't need to panic because, you know, especially if if you're a Christian and you have given your life to Jesus wholeheartedly and you put your faith in the Lord, you know, God does call us to be wise and to prepare and to stock stuff back. But He also promises that He will take care of us, regardless of what's going on. He always takes care of His children, and His children are always taken care of. So, um, you know, just making sure that you're wise and it's important. And, um, you know, I don't think we should necessarily worry about it. Like I said, it's really not that big of a deal, especially if you make it an everyday habit to make sure that you stay stocked and you do things as efficiently and as frugally as you can. Um, you're gonna have quite a bit more of a relaxed lifestyle. Um, Especially if repurpose, reuse, and just do the best you can with what you have. Um, you know, it's really, kind of nice. Um, and so yeah, just making sure that basic things you have on hand. Make sure that you have like extra things like you know a few extra furnace filters on hand um, that will fit your furnace. Um, there's multiple different sizes out there, so just find where your furnace is and look at the filter and see what size it is, and it should say the dimensions on it. But just having like one or two extra furnace filters put back is smart. Extra light bulbs, a few extra light bulbs on hand is always nice because you never know when you're going to need a light bulb. They always just burn out at the most inconvenient time. So, you know, I think that's about it. I'm kind of all over the place. I understand. But again, just being resourceful and making sure that you make things stretch and are prepared um, as much as possible. It's never going to be 100% perfect, but, just keeping that in mind, to, be as wise as you can, and doing your part to take care of yourself and your family. So, very important, guys. So anyway, please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos.